Hi, my name is Kambua.
Hi, I'm Janet. I guess this is the After Hours Yet to Be Named podcast.
It's still nameless-ish.
Ish, yeah. There's a name that's been bestowed upon us. That's what's happening.
Yeah, we're slowly warming up to it, but we'll see how that goes.
I know. It's good to see you.
So good to see you. You look amazing.
Thank you. You too.
Look like you've just had a really good year, Janet.
Wow.
Yeah.
First of all, couple of things. Number one, it is only somebody like Kambua who can, because I know we've talked about this.
Yeah.
I feel very safe with her.
Yeah.
So I find myself saying, if there's an opportunity to have a conversation with Kambua, I will be there.
Yes.
And second, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
I think I've had a pretty good year. The last few bits have sent me a little bit in a tailspin of, there's some stuff you still haven't really processed.
Yes.
But generally, it's not been too bad.
Yeah.
And what about for you?
Oh gosh, it's been a good year for me. I feel like I came from this has been that year after postpartum.
Yes.
When you're like, what's going on? You don't know what's what. You're just swimming and trying to make sense. That's what this year has been for me. So as the year is closing, I'm so grateful that it makes sense now.
I love that. We don't talk about how much you get lost in that initial phase. Yeah. The first year and a half, 2 years. Yeah. And you have 2 under 5.
Mm-hmm. It's intense.
It's intense. I had 2 under 5 once as well, and it can be a bit of a blur. But I love how self-aware you are in saying, okay, now you kind of begin to find yourself, and you're like, whew, okay.
Yes. Yeah. And I feel like it's just one of those things where you don't really, I know I went through it when I had my son, Nathaniel, but when it happened later with Natalie, where you're at that place, that postpartum place where things don't make sense, even though you know that it's just a season, when you're in it, you're like,
this is a lot.
What is going on?
I know.
Will I ever have my life back? Yeah. My career? Have people forgotten me?
Yeah.
So anyway.
You're speaking some really real truths, because our identity is now interweaved, and we love it. We love motherhood. It doesn't mean that sometimes you're like, will I ever find myself again? Yeah. Will I ever be me?
Yeah.
I guess you're a different version of you.
Absolutely.
But it's very valid to be like, is this it? Is this is this what it's going to be like?
Yeah.
And to your point, it's a season, and then you realize, I was telling you my kids are now 5 and 8. And now there's just a bit more room to say, okay, explore what it is that maybe you had to set aside for a while. I feel you in, there was a season, and then it kind of transitions.
And then it transitioned. You have been everywhere, like
this year for real.
You've been the real globetrotter. I'm like, Janet, are you in the country? Actually, no.
Actually,
What was that? The last one that you went to?
Iceland.
Who goes to Iceland?
When I started telling people that I'm going to Iceland, the reactions were so varied. I remember my mom being like, are you sure? Like, what do you mean, am I sure? My kids were like, where is that? My friends are like, why?
I was like, just send me proof of life.
I know. Send me proof.
Yeah.
The way you're saying you're grateful, I've been really grateful for the opportunities this year, because I remember being specifically asking for or wanting to travel for speaking engagements and praying on it very specifically. So I was like, and then you asked me a very profound question, as Kambua usually does.
Oh, wow.
She asked me, you prayed for that. Did you pray for the tools to navigate it? And I was like, I did not. So there were times, as grateful as I was, the mom guilt and the many other things would overwhelm me. Then I'd just have to practice gratitude and presence and be like, this is what you've wanted for so long. Your kids are fine. It'll be fine. But I would find myself overwhelmed, because it was really back to back this year, especially the last quarter, because it was maybe 4, maybe 5 different countries in just a small amount of time. I was like, Janet, you're grateful. Don't melt.
Janet, you prayed for this.
You prayed for this. Then I'm like, you asked me such a good question. It's what about the tools to navigate it?
And that's the thing. I feel like with every season of our life, it's really, we pray for the opportunities, but then we haven't really asked for even the grace for those opportunities, and even for me, that has been, I have been learning how to, I get to that place where, as I'm saying, left a season and got into another season, and then you're like, okay, I'm so busy, I'm so, you almost feel like you're falling apart sometimes. And I'm like, okay, God, give me the grace, give me the tools that I need to now balance all of this, working and being a mom and
And all of that.
And all of that.
As we kind of reflect on the year and, you know, have this conversation, we can take it back to maybe something this year that either challenged you or that you navigated, or how you responded to the one thing that really came at you, I guess, this year, and how you were able to pivot.
Wow, it's a big question. Janet asks big questions.
I really do. You know, even when I'm having conversations with friends, after a while, they're like, "Are you interviewing me?" I'm like, no.
Like
default journalist.
Yes.
And just I love deep questions and conversations, but now I give people disclaimers. I'm like, I'm about to go deep.
Okay.
Are we good, or do you need like 5 minutes? And like, today, can we just have fun and then go deep next time? But Kambua and I agreed we'd go deep today.
Yes, we agreed.
So we're going deep.
And I think the one thing I enjoy about our friendship is that we are able to go deep very quickly and very easily.
Yes.
Because also I really struggle with small talk.
Yeah, me too.
I really, really struggle. When I sense that it's a space that's going to have small, I just get drained. I'm like, what's my exit plan?
Yeah, I love that. Where is the quickest? Am I seated near the door?
Who
Where
needs
can
to
I?
Call me in?
Who needs to call me? I can be that person.
It can
You're
be,
like SOS.
be my person. Yeah. It's like it's an emergency.
Yeah.
Wow, my biggest challenge, you know, I don't know if I would say that it was a challenge for this year, but I've had to face it this year head on. I came from a place where I had experienced so much loss. I feel like the last decade in my life has had so much loss, and it has changed the person that I am greatly, because loss does change you. But I feel like this year is when I literally had to look at it and confront it and how it has changed me, and say that I actually want to heal, to start healing. So 2023 has been a year of healing for me, but very intentional healing, not being a passive healer. So looking for the tools that I need. If it looked like therapy, I've done it. If it's looked like working on my lifestyle, I've done it. Everything that it has taken, I've intentionally done. It's been hard. Many times I've been like, I don't want this. It's easy to go back to what you have known, even when it's difficult, even when it's painful. Yeah. So I feel like for me that has been the challenge that I have had to face head on this year. How about you?
Wow, that's so beautifully put. I love how you said intentional, not passive healing.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, I remember thinking that 2022 was my year for healing, and 2023 was more about restoration.
Yes.
And I kind of felt that way for the longest time this year.
Yeah.
And then I realized, and I say it all the time, I say it when I put out videos, when I put out content, I talk about healing being, it's not linear and it's a journey, it's long term.
Yes.
But I think the thing that I faced as a challenge was you still have so much more to unpack.
Wow.
Because I felt like, oh, there's a rhythm here.
Yes.
Oh yeah, now I have these tools. Now I'm able to navigate this. No. I sat and I was like, no.
Yeah.
What you need to do is be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
You're not patient. You feel like you had this timeline. Yes, you know there's no particular timeline, but you're also rushing yourself.
Yes.
So the challenge was being faced with that reality that there was still so many complex layers to how I was feeling and what I was dealing with, and knowing that I really had to face them.
Yeah.
So literally, it's only like maybe this quarter, the last 2 months, that I've been like, okay.
Yes.
And same like you, like, okay, if it's therapy, you're going to be very honest when you're in the sessions. If it's something that I need to do for myself, I'm not going to do it passively, top line, just to get it out of the way, which
Tick
I
a
can
box.
take a box. I'm like, you're gonna lean into it and take your time.
Yeah.
And so that was a big realization for me, like, okay, take your time.
Yeah.
Lean into it, breathe, and know that there will be other bumps. You don't have to rush through this. So that was a pretty big challenge and lesson.
It's a big one. Do you feel like when you're, as you're working through that, navigating all of that, have you had to be intentionally kind to Janet?
Yeah. I think so. I was, I do like to talk about being kind to yourself. So I feel like I do try and be very kind.
Yeah.
There's days when I say, okay, today's today.
Yeah.
And I say, cool, you're gonna go for a walk.
Okay.
This weekend. You're just gonna wake up early, take yourself to Karura and be in the middle of trees and walk. Or you're gonna cry and you're going to ride that wave.
Yes.
And do something that you feel like after. Is it something on Netflix? Is it whatever it is? So I'm trying to be kinder to myself.
Yeah.
I still think I could do more.
Better.
Same with you?
Yeah. I'm still, and I especially catch myself when I feel guilty about being kind to myself. It's almost like it's like a contradiction. I want to be kind, but then when I'm kind to myself, when I cut myself slack, I'm like, why am I being so kind to myself? And it could even be, I decided to sleep in today, you know, because my body is telling me I need to rest. Then I'm like, oh, he's sleeping at 10, is it 10 in the morning?
Who does that?
Who does that?
Yeah.
You know? But really just being kind to myself has been such a big thing. You know, you and I have such random conversations.
I love it.
And
we had guidelines and we're trying to...
we're trying to follow, but I feel like my head is also taking me elsewhere. So let's just go.
Let's go with that.
There's a time we had this conversation. We were together somewhere, and we started having a conversation, a heart to heart, and then Janet was like, am I emotionally dumping?
What did you reply? You were like, no.
I was like, no, Janet, I mean, but like, what's that about? How do you first tell people who don't know what emotional dumping is?
Oh gosh, I realized that in my journey of healing, because I'm discovering so many things, I'm excited to share them, but I'm still dealing.
Okay.
So by the time I come to someone, I'm like, and then also this thing, and then.
Yes.
So I caught myself a while back with a friend of mine, because she was engaged, but I felt like her face was starting to change. She wasn't saying anything.
Yeah.
And then all I remember her saying is like, wow, that's a lot.
Oh dear.
Then I said, wait, pause.
Yeah.
Sorry, are you good? Have I just like thrown too many things at you? She's like, no, it just sounds like what you're having to navigate and how you're doing it is a lot. Are you okay? I was like, yes, but also, is this too much? Am I, emotionally dumping? And I think I'd heard it a while back. So I remember going quickly online and being like, oh, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's when you don't really give the other person room to respond or participate. All you're doing is dumping. Pouring out. And it's different from healthy venting. And so I think I did a commentary on it not too long ago where I just kind of talked about the difference between the two.
Yeah.
And healthy venting, now I've become good at, hey, I have a lot that I want to share.
Yeah.
Are you in a space where you can receive it? And sometimes people will be like, no, if you're coming here, it's for fun times.
Okay.
And then
Today is not
next week, we'll talk about it. I have a friend who's like that.
Those
She's just like, no.
people.
You come.
Yeah.
Because she's also dealing.
Okay.
And that's why now I've learned to be like, especially with, people who are in my life who I know are also navigating.
Yes.
They're also, they can't take what you're dumping on them.
Yeah.
Maybe not at that moment.
Yes.
And so now I try to balance it and say, I have a lot I want to share.
Yeah.
You can also share.
Yes.
Then we can. So that's healthy venting. So it's solutions based.
I really love that.
Yeah.
I really love that because there are times you actually feel either if you're the one who is dumping, you either feel like you are not heard, like this person was not present, did not receive what you are, or if you're on the receiving end, just feel like, she didn't even ask me how I am.
Exactly.
She doesn't even know what I'm dealing with.
She doesn't think I'm also dealing. Yeah. And then you find people start avoiding you. Because like I mentioned in that commentary, silence is also a boundary. It's a hard one.
Okay.
But it's there because they're like, hey, this chick and her many problems all the time.
So, it's Kambua calling. Not today.
And actually, for somebody like Kambua, I feel like you probably have a lot of people sharing because you have a grace to you that somebody feels safe. So people like you are the ones who need boundaries. Otherwise, Janet will be like, by the way, Kambua. 7 hours later, you're like, So when somebody feels like Kambua has a grace to her and I want to share because I don't feel a lot of safety in other spaces, then a lot of people dump. And so what I've just been encouraging people is even in friend groups, and so many people kind of resonated. Some people were like, ooh, that's me. Others were like, Haki, that's my family. They just dump on me. So it's okay. Sometimes you have a season where you have so much you want to share and dump because you're dealing, but you can set guidelines and say, guys, I'm gonna dump for 20 minutes and then I'll invite your views. Then you guys can also do the same. So if you're a friend group, everybody can get 15 minutes. Pour it out. And then at the end of it, before everybody goes, it's like, what are you going to do today about it? Somebody might say, I'm just going to sleep. Somebody else might say, I think I'll call a therapist. Somebody else might say, I think I'll call that person and say sorry. So
there's like solutions.
Exactly.
It's not just you put it out and that's it. I really like that. I also feel like when you're talking about your friendships, that I don't want to say that it's age. I don't bring the age card in because Janet and I had to ask for pillows for our backs before we started this
We're like, we're showing our age,
like,
but we feel good.
Yeah, we feel really good. There's a decade that's knocking on our doors right
it's
now.
just like, hi, welcome. We've been waiting for you.
But I feel like the older I've gotten, the more intentional I am with my friendships and the conversations that we have. But also the other thing that I feel has been so, has like stared me in the face, maybe the last year, maybe 2 years, is that it's okay to make new friendships.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Because when I think of my 20s and early 30s, I had that mindset of, no, I have my 2 friends, I don't need anybody else, and I would say, I'm too old to make new friends. You're like 20 something, like 27. Yeah. I'm too old to make new friends, and you have this, I just have my ride or die, I don't need anybody else. And then as you get older, you're like, no, actually, I need different people for different seasons who understand where I am. And it's okay to lean into those friendships without feeling guilty about it, you know, or having to explain things. I think for me, friendship has been a really big thing.
No, I think you've put it so beautifully about friendships changing. And I was thinking about 11 years ago, there was a birthday celebration that was put together for me.
Yeah.
And then I was reflecting, I'm like, wait, I don't think any of those people, or most of them, are not in my life anymore. I've been dealing with a lot of friendship loss and grief.
Yeah.
I think also when your life shifts, certain people may not be able to understand this new version of you.
Absolutely.
And either side is valid. If somebody is just like, I can't relate anymore, and you're like, I'm just in a different headspace.
Yes.
So I had to look at it from both perspectives. I looked at it because it's so easy to blame and be like, oh, you're not even being a good friend.
Yeah, you don't get it.
You don't get it. And maybe they're like, actually, I don't.
Yes.
But then to your point, I've made new friendships, you know. You and I never sat like this. We were in the same media house for like
a decade.
Yeah. But so I feel like now I have really healthy people in my life. It's really been godsend. Like people who just kind of have also navigated certain things in life, and now we all find ourselves at a similar destination, so to speak.
Yes.
But there's also people that I thought we would be in each other's lives for a long time, and for whatever reason, it just fizzled out. Yeah. So that's kind of the loss. And then I also feel like I need to heal from certain things that felt like betrayal. That's been very hard. Yeah. That one I'm just like, imagine Janet, just heal. Because you've been carrying this thing for like a year and a half. Yes. I'm in a much better place now than then. Yeah. To your point, that's the one thing I've had to be very intentional about. When I'm triggered by something and it resurfaces, I had to be like, why does it keep weighing you down?
It still has power.
It still has power over me, exactly. So I'm like, what is that? I need to. Yeah. So I'm now trying to unpack it. Yeah. By just getting the tools to move through it.
You've touched on something that I feel has also been so heavy for me, has been releasing some people from my heart who I felt like you really let me down in this area, and just wondering what does that look like? Do we just ghost each other, you know, and this thing in between us that nobody wants to talk about? I have to tell you that I've had to really pray about that, because I found that if I, for instance, I'd have a sense that, let's say it's Janet, I'll use Janet as an example. So I'm like, Janet is going to be at this event. I don't think I can be at this event, you know. And I realized that means I have this thing has way too much power over me, you know, that I can't even exist in the same room as you because I'm carrying something. So I realized that part of it was unforgiveness on my part, and I really had to release it over and over until I have truly, you know, I don't know if I'm fully there, but I do know that when I started to surrender, we're talking about surrender earlier. Yeah. When I started to surrender that area of my life, funny thing is, these people started showing up in my radar. I'd bump into them in events, and they literally just started. It's almost like God had featured them for me for a while.
For you to be ready to be in the same space with them.
Yes. And now I'm able to. I can bump into this person, and I don't feel like, you know, I will have a very civil conversation.
Yeah.
How are you? Are you well? Nice to see you, and keep it pushing. So, but we have to grow through those experiences.
Yeah, I think I need to get to the place where you are, Kambua. Similar to you, there are people who it just kind of, for whatever reason, you had to let each other go, and that can be very hard. But I think with one or two, I'm like, there's still a power, and I need to. Yeah. And we were talking about surrender. I was just like, my surrendering for, I've surrendered, but ukosawa. Do you want me to help you with anything? And it's just like, no.
Are you done?
So yeah, I feel like I really have to rethink and fully surrender. Yeah. There's a pride that's standing in the way. Also, naturally, I'm a control freak. So it's about, already you are predisposed to controlling. Yes. But this is the ultimate surrender. And you have to look at it differently. It's not surrendering to someone. It's to the ultimate. Yeah. And so that's how the last few days I've started having that conversation. Yes. And I was telling you, the restlessness that had been following me, I can feel it kind of lift. That's when I know, oh, this is what it is. Yes. But I feel like maybe going forward, the biggest prayer and intentionality for 2024 is surrender. Oh, wow. Just surrender. Yeah. Because you've tried to fix these things on your own. Yes. How is that going, Janet? Yes. It's like, how is that going? Are you having fun?
I'm tired.
I'm tired. It's like, yes, I know. So surrender. Yeah. So that's something that I have to just fully release. Yeah.
I feel like it really is such a, and maybe just a good place for us to even, end 2023 as we lean into 2024. Just that surrender, because in different ways we both resonate with that. And we're saying that it's one thing to say, I surrender. It's another to actually do it, Yeah. We're usually, I've surrendered everything to God. I've surrendered. But you haven't really. Have you really? You're still holding on to it.
Exactly, and you can tell. Yeah. What are you most looking forward to leaning into for 2024?
I'm looking to lean into my potential and just what God has put in me, because I feel like, Janet, I have run away from what God wants me to do for so long, and I've had all sorts of reasons not to do it. So I did a brave thing this year and started my podcast.
Yes, and it's such a good one. Woo! It's such a powerful podcast.
Oh my gosh, it was so brave, and I think you would know, and people who are close to me know how scary that was for me. So in 2024, I want to lean more into that, because I find that those spaces, and especially those things that scare us so much, that God is telling you, just do. So I'm looking into leaning more into those things that are hard, because I believe that God doesn't call us to do easy things. He actually just asks us to trust him when he calls us, and he gives us the grace and everything that we need to do it. So whatever God has for me this coming year, I'm ready to lean into it.
I really love that. I would say similarly, I've also had to rethink and kind of adjust my faith, my relationship with God. And I'm so glad that I have that. Yeah. I just feel like through certain storms, I was just like, where were you? And we all go through that. Everyone goes through that. And now I feel like I know that there's so many things I couldn't have done without that relationship, without God. Yeah. So remembering to lean into that, like, Janet, there's no way you'd have even been where you are right now if it wasn't for. And it's like, do you remember how beautiful it was when you leaned in? Yeah. Because I can remember the times I did. Then it's like, remember how you traumatized when you did not lean in? I really did. And how life didn't make sense. Recently, I was feeling stuck, and it was not a stuck for, I don't know what to do with life. It was just a stuck for, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. There's so many things moving around me, but also there's noise inside me. Yeah. So it was a very weird, and I was exhausted as well. So I was just like, I just need to sit still and trace the origins or whatever this restlessness is. Yes. And I did, and it's like again, it goes back to surrender. Yeah. And even when I think about 2024, you said something really powerful about leaning into your potential. I remember saying things like, I miss creating. Yeah. We're creatives. So and I'm just like, I love what I've done with the foundation. It's just been very technical this year. It's like setting up teams and structures, which is amazing. Then I'm like, I really just miss pouring into projects
Yeah.
and collaborating.
Yes.
And so I know, next year the hope is that those things can come to be, and then I can also trust God and trust myself to say, you can do this. Because a lot of what things like heartache bring is also self-doubt.
Oh, yes.
And just saying like, maybe you can't.
You
but
second guess everything you're doing.
Everything.
Yeah.
And so those are the things that I'm like, you've had seasons when you've put that aside and thrived.
Wow.
So that means it's coming from a place of fear that you need to address. You need to go there and address that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I'm seeing 2024.
That's a big one. Addressing your fear, the root of your fear.
And like facing it and saying,
Oh, yeah.
Because it's hard. It's so hard to have conversations with yourself about having difficult conversations with yourself.
Yeah.
I'm big on have those AGMs.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself.
Yes.
But there's some of them that are just hard to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're going to do them.
Yeah.
You're just gonna
Do you
have
journal?
I do. Now I'm doing a lot more journaling.
Okay.
That's a good question. Yeah. When I'm having my AGMs, I journal.
Okay.
I speak out, and then I kind of just, I just make it a thing. It's like a date with myself.
Yeah.
And then I really try and end it with the certain thoughts and patterns that keep showing up.
Yeah.
And then what will I do about those thoughts and patterns? So some of them need, okay, you need to take this to therapy.
Yes.
You need to confront this person. And so it helps me get to that because again, it's about being solutions oriented.
Yeah. I need to do better with my journaling.
Yeah, I was going to ask you journal.
I used to journal, but my coach this year has been like, Kambua, we need to write things down. And I get it because there's a way when you actually write things down, pen and paper, I'm not even, I do a lot on my phone, but pen and paper, and you see it, it's just so clear. There's something about having things, thoughts and whatever is written down. So I will do, that's a challenge for me for this year.
I know.
For 2024.
For 2024.
Yeah.
What do you feel most gratitude for at this moment?
Oh, so many things. I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for the friendships. I am grateful for the opportunities that I have had. I don't take it for granted, Janet, that that you're sitting here, that I'm sitting here, that we have the careers that we have had, because I constantly get that question of how do you do it? How did you do it? I'm sure your DM is full of, how do you do it? And sometimes I'm like, to be honest, I don't have a roadmap, but just that there's been so much grace over my life to get me to this place. So looking back at 2023, I am grateful to be here.
Yeah.
How about you?
I love that. I'm like everything she said.
Yeah. Copy that.
Copy, paste. Grateful to be here.
Yeah.
Really grateful, not taking for granted, like you said, being here. And I think, just having the courage to show up for myself as well.
Yes.
And saying, okay, you're showing up for you. And pouring into myself so that I could pour into those around me. I wasn't doing that very well. I think, especially as women, we tend to do it the other way around. And what the biggest thing I've learned is you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yes.
We are always kind of told that we need to look after, and we love it. I mean, it comes naturally, we're nurturers.
Yeah.
But what about you? And I've had to stop seeing it as something selfish. It's like, actually, if you're empty, how are you pouring into Huru and Mali and to your work and your colleagues and all these people and to the community, fans, etc. So the gratitude moment for me has been permission to say, pour into you and pause to see what that looks like and fill your cup because fill it for you, fill it for those around you. So I've been really grateful for, the travel and the speaking. I've been really just grateful for the opportunities. And so I just need to move forward with this gratitude. Sometimes I'm kind of held back by fears and traumas and different elements of the trauma. And I'm like, just give yourself permission to lean in and to be grateful and to feel good about yourself.
I feel like it's such a beautiful place for us to, I mean, we could go on and on, but
we really could
to finish, but just that, the gratitude and what I have found in my life is every time I have intentionally been grateful and just taken account of everything that has worked for me, that has happened for me, it just sets me up for lack of a better word, for success. It just sets you up for it. Even shifts your energy completely. Other than being at a place of oh my gosh, this has not happened, this has not worked out. When you start saying this has happened, this worked out, I am here, I'm grateful for this, it completely just shifts who you are.
So we're sharing that gratitude with you. Yes. I love how we decided to do white.
Yes.
Pretty heels.
Yes, we were.
We don't show up simple.
No, we don't.
Also, I can't when I'm sitting with Kambua.
Oh, look at you.
I'm just saying.
Miss Iceland.
Iceland was great, by the way. Very nice place. I love that it keeps coming up.
You're like the only person I know
who's been to Iceland.
So I will shine with it forever.
Yeah.
But guys, we just wanted to share our hearts with you, you know, to really just bring you in on conversations that we have when we're hanging out. And I hope that there's something in there for you that you can take home that can that has encouraged you. And yeah.
So thank you to this beautiful space, IR Productions, such a stunning space. Yeah. And thank you, Kambua. Thank you for everything you do and the grace with which you live your life. It's extremely inspiring. And like she said, these are the conversations we have offline, bringing them online, and have an amazing year ahead. I'm so grateful to you as well, Janet. Thank you for the friendship. Thank you.
Thank you for the heart conversations. Thank you for allowing me into your life and just allowing us to grow. We are growing.
We're growing. We're growing.
We're growing.
Birthdays
we're learning.
Are knocking.
They're knocking. Ding, ding, ding. So when you see Janet coming out of a crystal ball, just know it is.
It's her birthday.
It's a big birthday.
There's a big one coming.
I'm so excited. Okay, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you.